Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Maggie.
Hi.
Hi, Maggie.
Hey, it's a pod party.
Pod party.
Pod party.
Party for pods.
Liz, one of your requirements is you're going to sing this episode, okay? Work it
Oh,
out.
fantastic.
So start
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
Thank you. Sometimes we have full conversations and singing with our kids. Am I the only one that does that? Really? Erica, I could see you doing that with your kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay, well, we're going to jump in. Erica's already given me a few faces.
It's because I'm trying to see your teeth without your mouth braces.
They look nice. One of the best Instagram comments I got, Erica, when I said my braces were coming off soon, someone said, "What's Erica going to give you a hard time about now?" And I was like, "She'll find something new."
I'll find something. It's my love language is dogging on people. And your teeth look amazing. You must feel like, I don't know. I can't even imagine what you're feeling now that you've gotten through this.
I feel good. Okay, let's move on. This podcast is not about my mouth. I mean, it kind of is, actually, but okay. So we're
Literally all podcasting is words that come out of your mouth.
and I talk a lot, so this podcast is about my mouth. Okay, the last time we were together, we got everybody here. We got all the co-hosts here. In case you forgot who everyone is, we got Andrew, we got Liz, we got Erica, and we got Greg, who's in the room with me, sharing a mic. Well, hey.
Hey.
Hey, everyone.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey,
I know y'all already said hi. Okay. The last time we were all together was episode 37 a year ago. We've done some where like Andrew and Liz and Greg are on. We've done some expense reviews. Erica, you'll be on our next expense review. But we have recorded 53 episodes since we were all together, which sounds about right because that's like
Wow.
a year's worth.
Wow. I know. It's nice to see all of your faces. Eric, I never get to be well, the last time I was on with you was Die Was Your Eye. I forgot how pretty you are. I hope that's not weird.
Liz, no, that's so sweet. And I mean, same back at you. And I was thinking we need another book review, ladies book review club, or
Yeah.
everybody, but
We should.
get some books in there because I'm playing catch up with all the books that y'all talk about.
Yeah. I have some friends that are in a like ladies book club, but it's kind of like a ladies smutty book club.
Oh.
But I was thinking we should do Andrew's already like, I opt out. I'm uncomfortable. I think we should do we should find like a genre or define a genre of financial smut. And then we like review financial smut reviews books. Does that exist yet?
Is that a thing? Or are we going to have to write the financial smut?
I think we're going to have to write it because like,
I mean,
it'll be like, there's like a
How to
love
get
story.
rich on Forex trading? I mean, that's
Forex. I was like, what did you just say on what?
Forex trading.
Yeah.
The economics of OnlyFans. They met on OnlyFans and then they opened an investment account together.
Yeah. They fell in love over money, fire love. I don't know. But we'll work on it. We're still workshopping this idea. So yeah, it's been a big year. We're going to talk about a lot of our favorites this year, some like highs and lows, some peaks and pits, some literal pits and some like metaphorical pits. And we're just going to jump in. We got a lot of stuff to talk about and we hope this is like a fun end of year episode to wrap things up.
It's going to be fun for us. So
Yeah.
we hope it's fun for you too.
If anything, it is fun for us.
I
right?
enjoyed reading the notes to hear about everyone's year, so that was fun.
Same. Yeah. I want to hear more.
Okay, here we go. We're going to start with peaks and pits.
Peaks and pits. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent immediately, but that is a choice. I grew up with roses and thorns.
Yeah. Did anyone else grow up with one?
I just grew up with highs and lows.
Oh, I learned peaks and pits from the Kardashians. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was. I think I've heard peach and pit,
Oh,
but anyways.
Peach Pit from
that is
90210.
You're right. Yeah.
Anyways, all right.
I mean, when you're making decisions based on the Kardashians, it's probably a great thing. But
Some of the best learnings in my life have come from that show, which which I haven't watched in a long time, but I spent a great deal of my 30s watching them. Okay, so we're going to do Peaks and Pits or Roses and Thorns when we get to you, Liz. Okay, Andrew.
All right, I'm up first.
What's your peak? You're going to go first because you have a literal pit to talk about.
Yeah.
What is your peak and pit for the year?
All right, so on the peaks, we did 2 family trips to Universal Orlando, which was super fun. My kids are huge Harry Potter fans. Had a blast doing that.
I'm sorry, Andrew. I'm going to need you to add some context to that peak.
Yes.
Say real quickly what you did for that because it was pretty cool.
So Crystal,
the surprise part, I mean.
Oh yeah, the surprise part. So we didn't tell
I don't know,
them.
what were you about to say about Crystal?
Well, she made all matching T-shirts for us.
Okay.
So we had matching T-shirts, a new T-shirt for every day. So
that's adorable.
That was,
what category of
was
the
fun.
Expense budget does that get categorized to?
There's a Hobby Lobby budget that
Okay,
a lot of Hobby Lobby charges there. And yeah, so she
the
made.
surprise was the best part too.
Yeah, so we didn't tell them we were going to Universal. We told them we were going to Hilton Head, which is where we usually go for fall break. And we just started driving. And we wanted to see how long it would take them to figure out that we were not in South Carolina and at Hilton Head.
My guess was that it would take them until you got there, that maybe when you cross the Florida state line, they might say something.
Yeah, we passed at least 300 Florida signs, and they were completely oblivious. They did not figure it out until we were about to pull into the hotel, and the huge Universal Orlando bus with Harry Potter on the side of it came in front of our car. And finally, I had to say, guys, do you see this bus? They finally figured out that we were not in Hilton Head, and then Brendan got really upset that we lied to him about it.
He was upset?
He was upset, yes.
Not excited?
He was excited, but he was very upset that we lied to him and that we were not going to Hilton Head. He got over that in about 5 minutes, but yeah, that was a funny reaction that he had.
Is he still believe in Santa?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, my
What?
kids
I was
are.
going to say, wait till he finds out that you lied about Santa.
Yeah,
you were in. I mean, if he was upset about that, this is a lie that's been going on for like his whole life.
Yes.
Oh no, we're gonna have to add like a warning to that now. We're gonna have to go back and be like, "There's kids in the car. Turn it down."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Andrew, I think that kids don't really actually like surprises like that. Like we've done it with our kids and it backfires, and it's like, just why didn't you just tell us the truth? You know, like it shifts their mindset, and it's like they get so attached to what they think is going to happen that I have to think through like, is this like, I think surprises are one thing, but like misleading surprises are another thing, you know?
That's an interesting point because I will say our kids do not like surprises either. Even little things where I'm like, hey, we're going to go get a treat and I'm not going to tell, they're like, no, we want to know. Like they're very like, I like the idea of a surprise. They do not.
Well, I think they like the excitement of something too, knowing, oh, I'm doing this, and they get to like be excited about it for
Disney
the lead up or something.
Geez, turns out
I know,
like
really, Andrew, this is really bad.
I know. I don't know why we're all like dunking on Andrew.
It's okay.
Taking his
It's
family
okay.
to Disney World.
That was definitely.
I think it sounds really nice, Andrew.
It was.
That was your peak, Andrew, or that was the pit?
No, that was the peak. There was.
Kids get emotional.
They had a lot of fun.
Okay.
Huge Harry Potter fans. So Universal's Harry Potter World is really well done. So we had a blast doing that.
That's awesome.
And then
wait, but next year when you take them to Hilton Head, you're gonna have to be like, we're really going to Hilton Head.
Yeah, we'll probably go
For
to Hilton Head
real?
on spring break. Yeah, so we'll have to.
I would have thrown that back at Brendan and been like, look, you like the drive to Orlando is twice as long as the drive to Hilton Head. So like, dude, open your eyes and pay attention. Like,
We did have that conversation on the way back and pointed out every single Florida sign that they missed.
Yeah. You're
How
like,
old
you
is
should be
Brendan?
Rub it in.
more aware of your surroundings.
Yep.
How
All
old
right,
is
so
Brendan?
staying on the peaks.
How Erica, how old is he?
Bren's 8.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's my
3
daughter's
all's
age.
10.
I feel like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
What's
was
your
just
point?
curious,
I should
continue.
quit throwing shade at an 8-year-old. Point noted. Thank you.
No, I was just curious because if you're going to be like 14 or 4, then there's like a lot of room for error.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep going on the staying on the peaks. I won 2 more national titles, so that was good. Had a good cycling season, and then the market being up 27%. Am I allowed to call that out? I mean, that's definitely a peak.
Mm-hmm.
I went plant-based in 2024, so it's almost coming up on a full year. February is my plant-based anniversary, still going strong.
That's your biggest peak, That's more exciting than the market being up, I think.
Crystal would probably put that as a pit versus me putting it as a peak. And then I got glasses in 2024. So my vision, I didn't realize how bad my vision had got until I got glasses. And it was like, holy cow, this is what it's supposed to really look like when reading things. So welcome to middle-aged. And then on the pits, my literal pit, which Maggie, we should probably just do a full episode on this at some point. So I won't get into a ton of details, but we have a sinkhole/trash pit in our backyard that we've been dealing with literally this week. I literally have a giant hole in my backyard right now. And so that has been a real pit of unexpected financial cost. And then we also got new pipes. We had our whole house repiped, which was also we talked about on one of the episodes. I think it was our mid-year financial review.
I think we made a lot of laying pipe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've got some beautiful new pipes that we have really enjoyed this year. The water coming out of these pipes is it's beautiful how great.
Andrew only lays high quality pipe. Okay. On your
national title pipe.
Yes.
Okay. On your pit real quick.
Yes.
You could turn that pit into a peak. Why don't you build a swimming pool in your backyard? You're already digging a hole.
The landscaper, the people who are doing it, literally the guy came and said, "Oh yeah, you could spend I could do $300K on this beautiful backyard pool oasis back here. You guys got an awesome backyard." I was like, "Do not say a word of that to Crystal because I literally will kill you."
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay, got it. Erica, what you got?
All right. I mean, I had a good year. I look back and I'm like, I can't even remember the beginning of the year, but had a lot of good fun travel. The biggest thing for me was that I took this nervous system mastery course that is about self-regulation for just feeling anxiety, feeling any sort of heightened emotions, things that I didn't fully understand of recognizing how emotions show up in your body. And we think that we control them in our head, but really it's 80% body, 20% head. And so this was like learning about the different polyvagal theories. This could be like I'm like on another genre of podcasts. Those were all the podcasts I listened to this year were like all around like nervous system and polyvagal theory. But this was something I signed up for one reason and got way more out of it for another reason. And like, I'll look at a lot of the stuff in my life as like pre-nervous system mastery and post, and it has just really made a huge change. Yeah, it was awesome. Like, I didn't really know what I was signing up for. I kind of did it on a whim. It was a lot of money, but I was like, if I'm committing to this, I'm doing it, and I prioritize it. Yes.
So this is a financial podcast. 2 questions. 1, what did it cost?
I think it was
just ballpark.
Yeah, I think it was $1,200, but then there was like a discount up front, and so I'm paying it in like installments because that was
like about $1,000.
Yeah, maybe $1,000 for 5 weeks. You're in a cohort with other people.
Okay. I would love to get a link to put in the show notes. So
yeah.
If we're interested in the specific course. I'm not asking for myself because I have a very regulated emotional state.
Totally.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh in your face.
But Liz, you should be laughing. I was being sarcastic. But I do think we'll get a lot of questions on that one. So I would love to.
Yeah.
I would be happy to share it. Oh man, this was like, I can't say enough about this. It was amazing. And it was actually really good timing because I happened to take it. I signed up in early to mid-October. And so this course went through the election. And not to get political, but I work in renewable energy. So does the landlord. So for us, a lot of what our job stability and future looks like is based on like how the government shows up to support renewables. And so the outcome of the election really affected my company.
Just to clarify, not in a positive way.
Not in a positive way. There's a lot of like stalling out on projects, like investments being held up, things that we're just kind of waiting to see, but anxiety is very high. More so at my company than the landlords because I work for... Anyway, I don't need to get into the specifics, but that was a peak because the last like few weeks / months, like...
Did you mean to say that was a pit?
I'm sorry, that was a pit because the general vibe at work has just been really depressing. High anxiety, like everyone's just really paranoid and kind of snapping at each other. And it's just really not It doesn't feel like it's a good time to be in this industry, but we believe in what we're doing and we kind of just have to wait and see. So it's been a pit for sure, but having done the nervous system mastery course over the election and having that skill set to kind of get me through it has been like, I can tell that I am not spiraling in the way I would have been.
Well, I'm glad you took that course. I'm sorry for the broader context of like, what that does to the industry you work in, because I also believe in renewable energy, and it's unfortunate, and I think it's like people can imagine when they've been at a company when there's like layoffs and just things happening, like it changes the whole vibe of the company, and everybody's just, there's like a different something in the air, and it sucks. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, we're gonna move on. By the way, Erica, you got the assignment. It was peak and pit, not peaks and pits. So Erica did it well. I can't throw shade because I'm super long-winded, so you can do whatever you want, guys. Okay, Greg, you go ahead.
So Maggie filled this out for me. My peak is living with Maggie.
I was wondering.
I was going to say you that was a good answer. That's the right answer.
I mean, it is a peak.
It's a daily peak, right?
A daily peak.
Daily, every day. Good for you two.
So that's
no, it's just that he gets to live with me every day. Not that it's a peak every day.
If you want to nail that kiss better, look at each other's elbows.
No one's gonna get that because that the other part was Erica taught us earlier that if you want to hit a high five and not miss somebody, look at their elbow. And Greg was like, "Is that a?"
I don't remember, but that was good.
You're like, it's a solution to a problem we don't have.
Yeah.
Or something. But I'm gonna try to look at. It doesn't work on kissing. And don't make that face when we kiss. You look like my kids.
You two are adorable. I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
What's your peak? What's the peak?
The problem is that the video does not get posted, so everyone else just gets to miss Maggie just like nuzzling Greg like a cat, sort of like a headbutting.
She only does this when the camera's on too. So my other than living with Maggie,
which is written your own peak, what would it be?
It was going to be traveling to Australia over the summer. That was just amazing trip
with Maggie.
With Maggie and the kids, and it was amazing. And my pit is specifically the recovery from shoulder surgery. I don't want to say that the surgery itself is a pit because I feel very fortunate that I'm, able to fix my shoulder, which has been bothering me for a year and a half. So glad I did the surgery, but it is just, it's a long road. But
what was your surgery specifically?
I had rotator cuff and bicep tendon repair. So it's
torn tendons.
Correct. Yeah. So it's, 6 to 8 weeks in a sling, which I'm just getting out of. And couldn't drive and just, pretty uncomfortable sleeping in a recliner. And so again, not to belabor that, but I'm glad I'm kind of getting on the other side of that. And
what are you, like 8 weeks out now?
Close to it. Yeah.
You're sleeping in a bed with
Maggie.
About 27 pillows, but with me.
Yeah. Lots of pillows still. Yeah. So, it's all good. Very thankful that Maggie was there to take care of me through it all. She was pretty amazing. So, in some ways your pit is also your peak, right?
Yeah.
I was going to make the joke, are there 27 pillows because Maggie's sneaking out at night and putting pillows under her side of the bed? Like from an 80s movie?
There are so many pillows in his bed, Erica. I made that joke to him the other day. I made the bed and it looks like there's a body in like I'm faking. It's like Ferris Bueller. Why can't I say Bueller?
Nailed it.
Bueller. Nailed it. Okay. Liz, you go.
Sure. Well, I chuckled a little when I thought about my pits from this year because it was pretty pitty. But the big downfalls early in the year, my partner was let go twice and then ended up having what should have been a pretty routine back surgery, but actually ended up having to go back into the hospital and spent about a week in the ICU after some complications from that surgery created some issues, but that's primarily resolved now. So that's the good news. And then my company did some major layoffs. My dad had a stroke, and we know 2 people who passed away suddenly in their 40s, which is, losing people is always hard, but that kind of sudden and young makes it just hits you in a really different way. And then I actually, my mental health, like I always like to say I'm kind of good in a crisis. And then as soon as things calm down is when my sort of generalized non-specific anxiety creeps in. So after things had settled down a bit, that's probably the time my anxiety disorder got like the worst it's ever been, just crying and feeling really upset all the time. So that was that was 2024, but there were some peaks too. I mean, to Greg's point, it was also a year we felt really supported by friends and family, and seeing people show up for us was really nice. But the most fun things were one, getting to go to the Peloton studios. That feels so small and insignificant to say compared to all the other stuff we were dealing with, but it is so fun. If you're a Peloton person, I highly recommend going to New York City, going to the studios. It is so completely fun. And then the second thing is I have my own podcast called Liz Gets Loaded. And this year I did 3 in-person meetups in different cities where I just happened to be for work or whatever reason, and got to meet up with some Liz Gets Loaded listeners. And it was so fun. It was just, I was so nervous about it. And then actually showing up and being live in person with people was really, really good. We should absolutely do an Inside Out Money meetup in Atlanta. I would fly out for it.
That would be a lot of fun.
Let's do it.
Corporate retreat for all of us,
Yes.
and then we'll do a meetup.
Yeah, I like it. It's a 2025 goal.
I agree. Yeah, let's put it on the list.
You definitely had the pittiest year,
Mm-hmm.
right? If that's a word.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of pits in my life. Like, my life is usually pretty easy. So it definitely felt like a little bit of a gut punch.
Yeah, it's a lot of like medical stuff, and I think it was just as someone watching you, like as an outsider or a somewhat insider, but not you, I guess is my point, is and not your partner, but whatever. Okay. Oh my gosh.
How many more words can we use to describe your relationship?
Oh my God.
As someone who knows you, but not that well, but pretty well.
As someone who knows
just
you, but wasn't
watching
there every day. Oh, I was gonna say, it seemed like it was like a more stressful year at work also. Like just, aside from just like just a lot, like,
Yeah.
it's a lot, to be going through all that and have a demanding job is just a lot. So
Yeah. I agree with that. Well, good news is this year is almost over.
Yeah.
New
2
year.
weeks to go.
Okay, I will wrap up our peak and pits. For once, I might be the briefest. We shall see. My peak was getting my braces off, which happened 48 hours ago. And I'm still, I had like 24 hours without them. And then I had to go back to get fit for my retainer, which I have to wear like all the time for a month. So it's almost like it's like having Invisalign kind of. But it's still a way better improvement. Like I have them in now and you guys probably can't even tell. And my pit, I feel bad going after you, Liz, but I will say I had a, like, knock on wood, pretty solid year, and the only pit I could come up with was that I had to have braces for the rest of the year because they're pretty annoying. Like, you eat multiple times a day. There's always just junk in them. Like, it's annoying. It's not it's a first world problem, not a big deal, but it was the only thing I could think of, which means life's not too bad if that was my pit, because it was not that bad. But I'm excited to have them off.
Yeah.
That's really great. I'm excited for you to have them off. You just look lighter and happier.
I think I lost a pound. They were heavy. By the way, you want to know how they take braces off? It's barbaric. And I had ceramic braces, which are like more heavy duty. They literally take a pair of pliers, because they're cemented to your teeth. They take a pair of pliers, rip them off, and they don't tell you. I was like, little heads up would be nice.
I had
And then
braces
she's
as a
like-
kid. I remember that.
She's like, oh, these ceramic ones are annoying because the metal ones come off in one piece. The ceramic ones come off in pieces. And then sometimes they have to like shave them off your tooth, kind of like, oh my God,
They're like
grind them
using
off.
they're using like brute force on those things.
Yeah. And she's just like, she's like, relax your jaw. You're making it work. I was like, oh gosh.
And you said then they said to lick your teeth to see if there was any shards
Mhm.
still
Yeah. She's
on
like,
there.
look them and see if you feel any
What?
sharp points.
Oh,
And I was like, okay.
You're like,
I'm just
did you pull off a
imagining-
bracket or a tooth? Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The whole time I'm like, this doesn't feel right. It feels like I thought you were going to like gently, I don't know, like nail polish remover, like get the cement off somehow. I didn't know you were going to, she's like literally got a pair like from like Home Depot. It looks like a pair of pliers. And she's just cranking them off.
I'm imagining the person with like their foot on your shoulder. You know what I mean? Just like,
I need a little more leverage. Hold on. Yeah.
exactly.
Like a crow.
Oh my gosh, that is awful. They should tell. That is traumatizing.
Yeah.
I never had braces.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to keep us moving. So we're going to jump into our favorite books and podcasts of the year. But before we do that, we're going to do a couple quick things. We're going to read some reviews because we've gotten some very good podcast reviews. Thank you to everybody who has left us a review. Liz, you always do a great job of saying this, but like it literally like makes us all feel good. We all see them. I sometimes send them to different people. Like different people as in you guys.
You don't just send it to your dentist.
Yeah. I'm going to start sending them to my orthodontist.
You're like, I need my mouth to work. Look at the people love it.
Yeah, I know. Good feedback. But yeah, we really appreciate it. It helps other people find the podcast. This is an ad-free podcast. We purposely are not trying to monetize this. It's a passion project on, all of our fronts. But the reviews are like really nice and they're just awesome to see. As of today, we have 138 reviews on Apple Podcast, which is still the like prominent place where reviews go. And you can't see everybody, but everybody has their hands up in excitement. I'm going to read you a couple reviews. But before I do that, I just want to say, if you have appreciated this podcast this year in any way, it is super helpful. It takes like 2 minutes. You open the Apple Podcast app. It's the only app that really lets you leave like a good written review. You can also just leave a rating in the Spotify app. But even if you don't listen to us in Apple Podcast, just briefly open the Apple Podcast app, find the Inside Out Money podcast. You just hit the name of the podcast. If you're on a specific episode, hit the name. It'll take you to the main page. Scroll down. You'll see the reviews. And it says, you can just click the stars and like leave a 5-star review if you love us. And then you also just click write a review and just write something out. Liz, you always have good ideas for like what people can write.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you can say, hey, this is what I like to do while I'm listening. I listen to this while I walk my dog or while I do my laundry. Or you could say your favorite episode or something that made you laugh or something that made you learn or how you found us.
Yeah, whatever you want, just like love it. I'm going to read some podcasts, some of my favorites from the year. I'm going to read aloud real quick.
Okay.
And it's going to give, every time we read them, like Liz said, we get like a little hit of dopamine. It's lovely. So
yeah, it's like fireworks in our brain. We get very excited. We get paid in brain fireworks.
We do. And a little goal, because it's fun to set a goal. So we're at 138 reviews. I would love to get to 200 reviews by our 100th episode, which will be 10 episodes from now. Ooh. And I think we can do it with all of y'all's help. So again, if you're listening, just take a quick moment, pause it, go leave us a review. And if you need some inspiration for the type of things people say in written reviews, the written reviews are the most helpful. I'm going to read some real quick. Okay, here we go. I love the name. I love people. I'm not even going to read people's names. They're like handles, but the handles are awesome sometimes. This one's like Oncoproteins. I don't know, but
amazing.
Okay. I'm not sure how I stumbled across this podcast, but it has quickly become one of the most informative, practical, and relaxing podcasts I've ever listened to. The host, each successful in their own way and excellent conversationalist, share valuable financial tips that are accessible and easy to apply for average income, everyday people. Time just passes by so quickly and in a pleasant way when listening to this podcast, and that's a huge compliment. I understand there would be tax implications, but the host really should consider an ad-based model for their time and effort. It's funny.
Very nice.
The reason I don't want to do ads has nothing to do with tax implications. It has to do with your time, guys, your listeners, the listeners' time, Ads are annoying. It's my gift to you to not monetize this podcast.
There you go. That's nice.
That's fair. That's
for
fair.
now, at least. So
it's also just like, it's not that much money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's fair. Yeah, it's not going to pay my bills. It would be like some...
I have ads on Liz Gets Loaded, and it's like, it's nice. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I make like $20 a month. I could honestly, I should just take them off and be like, this is my $20 gift to you.
Everyone, yeah.
Not having to hit the fast forward button twice when the podcast starts.
But that was a lovely podcast. Yeah. Okay, here's another one.
Lovely review. A lovely review. You said it was a lovely podcast.
Sorry. Yeah. That was a lovely review.
Yeah, very nice.
Right. Yes. I mean, a lovely review of a lovely podcast, right? Okay. This one is Brittany580. I've really been enjoying the podcast. I find that it's helpful tips for personal finance /fire and also just some great life advice. Recently listened to the one where I took away some thoughts about conscientiousness versus perfectionism. I would also like to say that I enjoy all of the co-hosts and everyone has a very listenable voice. There you go. You guys are very listenable.
So
Maggie sounds like an old roommate of mine, and I find that very comforting to listen to. So glad I can help.
I think the perfectionism, that was you and Erica, right?
I think so. Yeah, it was.
Good one.
Okay, here's another one. I have been a fan of Maggie since Friends on Fire and always look forward to Inside Out Money and every Monday now. The show and Friends on Fire have helped me and my husband fine-tune our early retirement plans, and I've already recommended it to several friends. Well, thank you. Excellent content, and the hosts are so fun and enjoyable to listen to. I also love Liz Gets Loaded, which I discovered through the podcast. Keep up the great work.
That's me.
Extra shout out to Liz.
There you go.
Okay. Other financial podcasts get into only the weeds and mechanics of all the different types of investment accounts. This podcast shares just enough so you understand the differences, but really breaks down the emotional pieces around money. All the co-hosts bring a completely different style, which I think makes for a more enjoyable podcast. I look forward to walking my dog on Mondays because I get to listen to the latest podcast. That is so nice.
Very nice.
That is so nice.
Okay, here's the last one I'm going to read, okay? This is from Odin. Well worth the listen, as you will more often than not walk away with an actionable step. Half are your mental and emotional approach towards money, and the other half are the tools to execute on it. Maggie is the host, and there are 4 other rotating co-hosts, including her husband, Greg. They all bring something unique to the conversation, and their banter, although at times can get off track, they bring the message home. Fun listen. Listen to all the co-hosts before you decide, as each show feels different, and that is why it is so good. I just thought that was a nice one, and I thought that was like spot on. Yes, I was going to say we have a way of getting off track, but it's more like I have a way of getting off track. And you guys have a way of trying to politely bring me back on
I don't know. I think Eric and I go like running off into the forest with you, and Andrew and Greg are like,
Yeah.
come back.
I think I agree with that.
Like, this is a fun little path to take.
Yeah.
But I do think it was because you had a previous podcast that you did with one person, and it was the same person every week. And then when you decided to start a new podcast, I think it was a real stroke of genius to say, I want to rotate through different people, because I do think you have some real different flavors here. I think that was a really smart way to do it.
Yeah, all 4 of us are very different.
Yeah. I frequently get comments that are referencing the variety and liking the variety and liking that they're like, and I like to listen to this one for certain things. And like, they like the
That's cool.
variety.
Yeah, I do too.
And they like hearing like the dynamic of a relationship. And that's you, by the way.
I figured that might be.
Okay.
Just in case you didn't know that you're in a relationship with Maggie. That's you.
Yeah.
Should I nuzzle on you again?
Do the kitty headbutt again.
Real creepy. Not more creepy than sexy. I get it.
I feel like I'm about to give you the look the kids give you when you're being really silly.
The kids do sometimes give me Okay. We're going to move on to some of our favorites from 2024. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay. So we're going to do some favorite books or podcasts, whatever you want to talk about, or just, something that seems like a book or a podcast. Erica, what you got?
I was a little behind on podcasts this year, but I caught up more with books, which was great. So I finally read The Psychology of Money. Totally get why y'all like it.
Yes.
Andrew, I saw your face. Yeah,
Yes.
Andrew
was
doesn't
great.
like it. He loves it.
Loves it.
It had been on my list for so long, and I knew I needed to. I got it from the library. I knew I needed to really.
That makes me even happier.
Yeah.
me too.
You'll be less happy about something I say later in the podcast. But yeah, once I got it from the library, I wanted to be fully present with it. So I kept snoozing it over and over again. And once I finally could listen, I was like, okay, all right, I see why everyone has really gotten into this book. And actually, probably because of you, Andrew, in last year's podcast, you had mentioned Morgan Housel's podcast. I've started listening to that a little more. I really enjoy that.
Good.
But other than that, outside of Smartless and Pod Save America, the podcasts I always listen to, the Handsome podcast, same ones I think I talked about last year. I'm just behind on podcasts, including this one, especially this one. But I did read Adam Grant's book, Think Again. He's an organizational psychologist, and I just love everything he writes. But that book was really unique in terms of just how you show up in life. There was one takeaway I had from the book where he was having a conversation with someone. He's like, I'm not trying to get you to change your mind. I'm trying to get you to open your mind. And that's what Think Again is about. Highly recommend it. Also read How to Know a Person by David Brooks, kind of how to show up in relationships with people based on his experience. He's a journalist and he's grown himself over the years. So I really enjoyed that one. And then this one was a surprising read. It was for a book club at work called The Monk of Mocha by Dave Eggers. It is about the Yemeni coffee trade that started like fair trade coffee. It is a true story. It reads like a novel, and it was just such a fascinating read. Highly recommend.
Dave Eggers is so talented. He has such a way with words.
I
I'm
really like
literally
David Brooks,
adding
too.
these
I gotta-
too.
to
I
my
gotta put that
Greg
on
and
my
I are
list.
both in our Libby app adding them. And I'm trying to get ahead on the hold list from Greg, because if I get ahead of him, I'm 1%. I'm trying to.
Beat him, type faster. Nice.
I love it. I've not read any of those, and now they're all on my list. Okay, Andrew, let's go.
All right, so for mine, for the books, I didn't read a ton of books this year, but the How Not to Die, Dr. Michael Greger.
So
Well, that's
good.
like 12 books in one. I mean, it's a big book,
Yeah.
So if you read that, you did read a lot of books this year.
And then for podcasts, just one specific episode, Morgan Housel on the Huberman podcast. So this was a 2-hour interview that Huberman did with him, and it was great. Really recommend it.
I haven't listened to it yet, Andrew, but it's on my list, that episode after you posted it on Instagram. But I do really like the Huberman podcast.
I've never listened to anything of his before. I mean, I know he's super popular, but this was the first one I read, and he's good.
They're long form. I mean, most of
Yeah.
his are they're like Rich Roll. They're like 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah, this was
So
like
they're-
220, 215. So yeah, that's mine.
Okay, Liz, what you got?
Probably the most impactful book that I read this year was called Dying for a Paycheck. I think the author is Jeffrey Pfeiffer, something like that. I can hear you typing that. You're looking it up.
That's me.
Oh, good.
They don't have it on Libby. Sorry. So
Oh, sad.
I'll check Hoopla.
Very high level. He just talks about how work stress is the new epidemic in the same way smoking was however long ago. And he opens the book. This was such a compelling example. He talked about a grocery store that temporarily closed for some renovations and how the government required them to say, okay, well, how is the landscaping going to impact the local environment? And how is the construction going to meet these requirements? And there was no government regulation for how laying off those people for 6 months would impact their health, their financial security, et cetera. And he opens the book with that incredibly compelling example, and then kind of goes on to talk about how work stress and layoffs and et cetera just really has such a huge impact on our health. And I just thought it was fascinating. And then I also just wanted to share quickly that one of my best things I did this year, I loved it so much, is I joined this book club where there's no book required. You show up every month and you just talk about something that you read or a podcast you listened to or something you watched, and you just share, hey, I read this book and I liked it or I didn't like it. And it is so fun. It's such a great way to be in community with people. And I've gotten so many great recommendations. And I just think everyone that.
Who's it with?
Who
are the
organized it?
people?
And is it in person or something virtual that you
It
did?
is in person. Yeah. It's with a group. It's mostly women who are a little bit older than me, but I just adore it.
That's really cool, Liz. Yeah, I think like anything that gets people back in community with other people is such a needed thing these days.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I look forward to it every single month and think about what book I read, and I kind of almost like practice in my head what I'm going to say. It forces me to think about any kind of media and how I want to describe it. So
I love the irony of a no book required book club,
Yeah. Most people talk about books, but every once in a while someone's like, I got really busy and I didn't read any books, but I watched this TV show and it was really good. Or I saw this play. Or
I was just going to refer to the irony of what you said about the Dying for a Paycheck book and how people's jobs are tied to and tied up in stress and how that can affect your health. And also your health insurance is tied to your job, which is not true of other countries. So the fact that we are completely dependent on our jobs in so many ways, including to stay healthy. And that is the thing that often leads to negative / adverse health effects.
That's a great point.
yeah.
Well, and it's probably the ultimate reason for FI, right?
Yeah.
It's the driver of if you can become financially independent, so you don't have to be worried about that, right? It releases the stress from that.
Yeah. I'm a big fan, right? When you become work optional, work becomes less stressful.
Yeah, right.
And look, every public library account is different on what inventory they have, but at least in my public library in Atlanta or in DeKalb County, they don't have it on Libby, but they do have it on Hoopla, which is nice. So you can listen for free if you check out one of those apps, hopefully in your community. Okay, Greg, what you got? Favorite books or pods?
So podcasts, Conan is just Conan O'Brien Needs a Fan it's actually
Fan
Conan
or
O'Brien
friend?
Needs a Friend, but he also does a fan, which are my favorite ones, where he just brings on a fan and talks to them about their life, and they're so funny. It's I love Conan O'Brien. He's funny, he's positive. I don't know.
You like his sense of humor.
Yeah, his sense of humor is amazing. And on his show, when he used to have his show on air, he was funniest when he was just ad-libbing and interviewing versus when he was doing his monologue. And so his podcast is just him doing, an hour of ad-libbing and interviewing, and the co-hosts are great. And
his producers, like his assistant.
Yeah.
Matt, and what's
great.
his assistant's name?
Sona.
And
Matt. Yeah, they're hilarious. And I just really get so much enjoyment out of that podcast.
I actually just applied to be on Conan Needs a Fan.
You need to get Greg on. You're co-opting his experience.
No, he won't. That's not the sort of thing. He doesn't get as excited to like go on it as you know what I mean. Like
Greg, I have two things I wanted to share with you about Conan. Have you seen him on Hot Ones yet? Do you watch Hot Ones? The chicken
No,
wing
but I've
interview.
heard I've watched it. I've not seen that, but I've heard it was hilarious because
It was hilarious.
Yeah, and then he did a follow-up episode with this kind of fake doctor guy about it, and that was one of the funniest episodes ever.
I haven't seen that. I need to watch it. But also, my dad just sent me this because we'd watched the Hot Ones with Conan recently when my dad was visiting. Conan's parents, who he talks about a lot on the podcast, who were both in their 90s, they just both died this week, 3 days apart from each other. And they were very, very professionally accomplished people in their own right for... You've probably heard him talk about this on the podcast. Like his mom was a lawyer when a lot of females were not lawyers and was like only the second person to make partner at her firm, or second woman, excuse me. Anyway, and his dad was like this like record breaking scientist. Anyway, his parents are very interesting people, and they just passed away this week.
Oh, that's really
That
sad.
doesn't need to be in the
Very
podcast,
sad.
but I wanted to tell you that just since you were talking about him, because I read that this morning.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's sad. I feel bad that I've not texted him yet.
Well,
Share my
get on
condolences,
Conan Needs a
but
Fan.
yeah,
Don't let Maggie
yeah.
steal your thunder.
By the way,
Well, I appreciate that, Erica. I mean, I did bring it up, and Maggie quickly said, "Yeah, I should do that." And I was like, okay.
And you're like, for all the 2 times you've listened to
Well, I
Conan
just-
with me,
I submitted it and I talked about you in the submission a
Uh.
lot. And I said how we listen to it every night before we go
Yeah.
to bed. But I fall asleep 30 seconds in and Greg stays
that's
awake.
your smut. That's your
Yeah.
pre-bed smut.
Yes, I'm like, Conan, talk me to sleep, baby. He's got a nice voice to fall asleep to. Okay. Should we move? Oh, no.
We can move it. Well, another one is a favorite of both.
It's not what it's a call. I even typed it
Yeah,
wrong.
well, so it's the correct name is Mr. Ballin Podcast, and he does these. He's got 2 podcasts. One where he talks about a murder, and then one where he talks about a medical mystery. I prefer the medical mystery just because the murder ones sometimes it's pretty heavy.
I prefer
sad
to listen
stuff.
to a murder right before I fall asleep.
He just does such a great job of telling the story. He's just a great storyteller, and so we've really been enjoying his podcast lately.
Erica, you know when you flew, but me and 2 of our friends who I can't talk. I don't know how to describe friends clearly.
Drove up to Virginia.
Drove all the way to Virginia. On the way home, Kelly was like, "Oh, we should." She likes to listen to murder podcasts, and she was like, "We should listen to this one, Mr. Ballin." And though we call it McBallin, I don't know why we
I
can't
like
say Mr.
McBallin.
We call him
Yeah.
McBallin. And we're always like, "Let's play a McBallin."
McBallsack was one of the.
Greg calls it a
Naturally.
lot of things. I call it McBallin. He makes fun of all. He makes a lot of ball references. Anyways, we listened to it we listened to one, and at first it's like the first one you hear. I would say you got to listen to more than one because the first one you hear, you're like, this guy's kind of weird. It's a little weird. Like the format's a little weird. The way and then you get like addicted. Like the way he tells the story, he has like a consistent kind of order of the plot. And he's very like, I don't know, matter of fact or something, but we listened to like 7 hours of that podcast on the way home. It's like we had talked so much on the way there and so much on the trip. We were all tired and we just like listened to this podcast on repeat. And I got like hooked on it on that trip home from Virginia. Okay, moving on. This is tangents people talk about. Okay, my favorite books or podcast. My favorite fiction book. I had to go back and like look at Goodreads because I have read over 70 books this year, sponsored by Early Retirement. And my favorite book of the year was actually recommended by Liz, and it's called How to Read a Book. It is a fiction book. It's not literally about how to read a book. It's just a really cool story about like, it's about a lot of things, but it's about like some women in prison and some of them kind of getting their lives back together and like a library, just a bunch of things. And it's a great book. I just really enjoyed it. And thanks for the recommendation, Liz.
I'm so happy to see that. Someone from my book club recommended it to me. I picked it up because she described it as, I think a retired teacher goes into a women's prison to start a book club. And I was like, that sounds like...
Oh, that's something. A better description than what I gave. Yeah.
No, I got you. And you and I don't usually have the same taste in books.
Oh, well, I loved it.
Overlap in our next... I like it.
I do tend to listen to more books that I would put... I listen to a lot of nonfiction books, but I also do a lot of fiction books, and I sort of like go back and forth. And I will listen to more like rom-coms than you will, I would say. Like I enjoy a rom-com book way more than you do. But I also love a book that's just like a really well-told, interesting story with interesting characters, and that one was definitely that. So okay, and then I'd say my two like nonfiction books of the year were Outlive by Peter Attia. It's a pretty well-known book. It
love that one.
Inspired a lot of like very like health and wellness related. And then Good Inside, a really good parenting book. I have a trend of like engaging with parenting books a little late in my parenting journey. And I could have used the advice, a long time ago.
When you became a parent?
Yeah, when I became a parent, but I'm, constantly getting better. But some of the most like actionable, helpful things, particularly with like getting into like raising teenagers, it was like very helpful to remember that though teenagers don't always act like it, as the book title says, they are good inside. And it was very actionable and helpful. And I would highly recommend it to anyone with kids. Admittedly, I do not listen to like a lot of podcasts lately. I spend a lot of my free time recording and editing podcasts, this one. But I will give a shout out to two people that I really like that launched podcasts this year. So Kathleen from Minimalist Mom, and Liz actually helped her to like get her, like gave her some advice around getting her podcast up and running. She launched a podcast called Minimalist Mom. And then Greg and I have some friends that we met at Camp Fi this year that we like absolutely love. Their names Yana and Matt. They launched a podcast this year called Coast Fi Couple. And as it sounds, they are a couple that are on a Coast Fi journey. And just a good podcast if you want to hear from a couple's perspective also.
I'm going to check that out. That sounds good.
And we really like them.
Yeah. I really like Kathleen at Minimalist Mom too. She kind of pitches it as early 40s, approaching potential early retirement, minimalism in finances.
And like stoicism, minimalism.
Yeah,
and like all topics I love. Yeah, I agree. And I've listened to like many episodes from both of them, and I really like both.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump over to favorite products or purchase of the year. And we'll start with Andrew.
Okay. The new bike that I'm about to pick up this afternoon. So Cervelo S5, pretty excited about that.
Does anyone else know what a Cervelo S5 is?
No, that was just for the bike enthusiasts who listen to the pod.
Congrats on your new Cervelo.
Thank you. And we bought a new laptop this week, which I'm excited about. So Crystal's been using an ancient laptop that my mom gave to her like 7 or 8 years ago. That's on its last legs. So excited about a new ThinkPad. And then one that I know you guys will all be really excited about. I got a new bike saddle a couple weeks ago. And
what's a Power 3D saddle?
It's a 3D printed saddle, and I spend over 1,000 hours a year on my bike. So
it's 3D printed to your butt?
Not to my specific butt.
Do you sit on like a mold and they take?
It is not a customized saddle. It is a stock saddle, but the 3D printing allows it to do things that other saddles can't do in terms of how the saddle is built and the cushioning on it. So it's very comfortable. I'm a big fan of it. I've got two more.
Way to invest booty in your bike.
Yeah.
How can I ask or guess how much a specialized Power 3D saddle costs?
I bought.
Wait, can we play Price is Right first?
You play
Yeah.
the Price
What
is
does
Right.
everyone think a Power 3D saddle for Andrew's butt costs?
And I got the titanium one, not the carbon one.
Oh, well, that's
Oh
helpful.
my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, that
the
just
carbon
doubled
one's
my
the most
guess.
expensive.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to say something different before you clarified it's titanium, not carbon.
Is
Yeah.
titanium less or more expensive
Less.
than carbon?
Less.
Okay.
Well, you should have gone for carbon, dude. You know, you only get one butt.
I'm going 1,500.
No, he would never spend
More?
that much on a bike seat.
I was gonna say 600.
I'm going to go with 275.
I'm gonna go 350.
Maggie's the winner on Price is Right rules without going over.
I was going to guess $1.
325.
Oh man, my guess was 300 until you were like, make sure you keep in mind that it's the titanium.
The
versus
carbon
the
one is
carbon.
450. The titanium one is 325. So
And I'm closer than Maggie, just to really clarify.
Did you do the you're closer? Would you
Well,
guess?
it's at 350. So I'm
yeah,
only
but your
25
Price is Right
away.
rules you can't
Price
go
is
over.
Right. You go over,
Price
you
is
lose
Right rules.
automatically.
Yeah, you lose automatically if you go over. So.
Sorry.
Clearly, I never watched that.
Sucks for you, Greg. They didn't have Prices Right at St. Thomas.
I mean, yeah.
He didn't grow up with the television, guys. Just kidding, he did. Okay, Greg, what you got? Favorites? Speaking of butts,
Yeah. This is very.
it's a very butt-centric
It
episode.
is. So, favorite smaller purchase was a Tushy. We talked about this on the last episode we recorded,
did,
so
yeah.
I won't cover it too much. But it's a little bidet seat, and
That you add to the toilet, like an aftermarket.
Right,
It's called a
Exactly.
post-market bidet. I learned from our bathroom
Yeah, there
contract.
thank
you
you.
go.
That's a very nice way to. Yeah, thank you, Erica.
Post-market bidet.
It's great. Less toilet paper consumption, and
yeah, we don't really need to get into how bidets work.
we'll say from a financial perspective, reduce your TP.
But it was
cost.
$100, and it's not. You did it for your shoulder surgery because when you lose your right arm, like what do you got some logistical issues there that I'm not going to help with. And
We also got a bidet this year post spinal surgery. It was also a recommendation.
do you like it?
I don't want to get into detail on.
Oh, okay.
That's probably the right answer.
Right answer, Liz. Move on. Moving right along.
I thought I was like the Greg wanted it. I was like, I'm indifferent. I don't care. I really
Yeah.
don't think that
Yeah.
much about it. But I will say I've really been enjoying it. I way more than I expected.
All right, let's move on. Maggie, I think
Yeah.
you're making people uncomfortable. We need like an HR for the
Okay.
podcast.
I overshare a lot on online, but I'm going to draw a line.
You have I like it. I like that you do have some boundaries.
So my favorite big purchase was not for myself, but for my 16-year-old daughter. And this is a purchase that her mom and I did together, but we purchased her a car. And what was exciting about it was really with the guidance of one of our listeners, Tyler.
Shout out to Tyler.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler because it was great guidance. But so we purchased her. She wanted an electric vehicle. So we purchased her a used Chevy Bolt. And what was pretty neat is a couple of things. One is that there is a used tax credit for EVs, which will probably not be here in January. So if you want to, take advantage of it, do it very quickly. And so it's a $4,000 rebate that is applied at the time of purchase. So that is a huge advantage when you're buying a car. And with Chevy Bolts in particular, they replace the batteries on all of them produced for a certain number of years. And then even after that, many of them got a replacement battery. So the quick and dirty of it is that we got her a 2021 for after the rebate, $12,000, and the car had a battery that was replaced in December of 2023. So it's basically a new battery. They reset the clock on the warranty. So the battery is under warranty till 2031. And, anyone who knows anything about EVs knows that replacing the battery can be one of the more expensive, if not the most expensive part of an EV.
It's like the biggest component you care about.
Right. And electric motors are pretty reliable, so they don't really need to be replaced as often. So anyway, we got it for a great price for a car that's just wonderful for her.
Like incredibly low mileage. I was shocked at how little of a car. I was like, oh, you could get a solid car for 10 grand. It's hard to get a car with under 100,000 miles on it for 10 grand.
Yeah, this car has 30,000 miles, but very few on the new battery. So again, it's a
got a
car
lot
that
of
we
great
should
safety
get.
features.
Yeah, we should
Yeah.
get a lot of life out of it.
And she never has to pay for gas.
Yeah, and she never has to pay for gas. So it was great,
Yeah,
and it's been it's a great car.
And it was
That's
yeah,
weird.
lucky too, because we would not have, in a normal early retirement year, we would have qualified for the used car tax credit. This year we sold a rental property, so we would not have qualified, but his ex-wife did qualify, which was nice. And so, and they actually take it off, like the dealership takes it off. So it's like, it's a really seamless process.
Yeah. Oh, and one other cool thing too is that I guess maybe multiple models of Chevy have this, but they've got a teen driver mode that is like attached to whichever key fob that driver has. And so it limits the speed to 85 miles an hour, which you might think, well, what teenager would drive faster than that? But there's actually something called the 100-mile-an-hour challenge that teenagers do. So
Liz just raised her hand.
it's great that she can't go over 85. And I can see a report of how much she's getting brake warnings, like, collision alerts, and the radio won't turn on if her seatbelt's not unbuckled. If anyone in the car has their seatbelt unbuckled, the radio won't come on. So it's got just these great little things that as a parent of a teenage driver, I feel good about. So
That's great. I think that should be all adults mode.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's nice. Yeah, there should be like a spousal mode for that, Okay, Liz, what you got?
Oh, my 2 favorite purchases from this year. Number 1, shout out to Lexapro, SSRIs in general, modern medicine for the win. I went from non-medicated to medicated for anxiety this year, and so far so good on that front. And then number 2 was I bought an e-bike this year. I bought it used, so I got a really good deal on it. And it was really fun for riding around the neighborhood. And of course, on top of all of the pittiness this year, in the middle of my partner being in the hospital, our car started making this horrible noise and had to go into the shop. So I actually rode this e-bike. It came in handy. I've been riding it back and forth from my house to the hospital. So came in clutch.
Are you still like using it on a regular basis?
It got used yesterday. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Love it. Thanks to that lady who sold me her used e-bike.
Okay, Erica, what you got?
All right, I'll start small. So I got an ergonomic mouse, which my chiropractor had been recommending for years, and I finally did it. And I noticed a little bit of a change in my wrists since I sit at the computer all day, which y'all probably do as well. I also started using Pendulum Probiotic, and it's a joke for me. Like, I've put it on my personal development plan at work to work on my gut health. And like, I've joked about it and just used like, whatever the cheap probiotics are. And these really work and they're awesome. And I'm very happy to spend the money on them.
Do you have to refrigerate them?
You do. And you can, do like a subscription thing and keep them in the fridge. And they started like stockpiling them. And I just have like little bottles like shoved at the back of the fridge with all of our condiments that nobody looks at. But I put them in like a little container towards the front of the fridge, like 2 weeks worth, and like set a reminder for myself every day. Like, here's where I take them. And I notice, like, if I miss a day, I'm like, oh, yep.
I like how much butt stuff is in this episode.
You said you didn't want to talk about butts, but you're bringing us right back to the
This
gut
is
and the
gut
butt.
health. This is gut
but
health.
your gut's
gut
related
affects
to
your
your butt.
brain. No, it's not gut butt. It's gut brain. It's gut brain.
But then it comes
That's
out the butt, right?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
So the biggest purchase we've made this year, and we talked about it, Maggie, on the last podcast episode that I was on, is that the landlord and I upgraded our car from our 27-year-old sweet Lexus that finally died, like literally will not start. The landlord had to jump start it 4 times in the middle of the street just to get it from in front of our neighbor's house to our side of the street. It is being picked up on Monday to be donated to the Humane Society. We will go sit in it one last time.
What are those dogs going to do with the sweet Lexus?
Well, they auction it off,
I was
and the
just
money.
kidding. I know.
Well, I want people to know that this is like they auction it off, and then whatever money comes from the auction, it goes to the Humane Society. So like they have these like breakdowns of like, this is how many meals for shelter pets you could get.
Awesome. That's a nice way for the sweet Lexus to go out.
Yeah. So we got a Kia EV9. We, not totally dissimilar to how Greg and you did got the car for your daughter, but we ended up leasing it because there's a loophole in how you lease versus buy so that you can get the upfront tax credits because we weren't qualified based on our income. So we leased it and we got a lot of upfront tax credits.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, like if you're interested in doing this for an EV, do it soon. I don't think this this will be available under the new administration. But we got this new car, and like our other car that we still have is 10 years old, which doesn't sound very old, but when you look at the features and just how the car drives for being an EV, and that fits in with like our just values for both of us working in renewable energy, but also like we're like, oh my gosh, this is just such a nice drive. Like, like wow, we fight over who has to drive this car versus like our old Honda Pilot, which still drives fine. So this was like our big purchase, but we're really happy with it. We got what we wanted, and it just has all these like nice features that we're like, wow, we didn't even realize we wanted these things, and now how are we ever going to live without them?
EV9s specifically are so hot right now. You are the fourth person I know who has bought this car just in the last couple months, I think.
Yeah, I think it's because it has third row. I don't know. I mean, I will say like when it first came out, I was like, this is the one I want. And we were looking at other things. Like I kept threatening to put us on the wait list for it. And then, you know, we got to where like I was like, we need to try to donate this car while it still has some life in it and like get what we want. And the landlord's like, it'll be fine. We're never going to be in a situation where we have to like panic and do something. Well, that situation came up. The car literally just died, and like we needed to have the second car. And we were looking at other things to kind of satisfy us. I'm like, why don't we just get what we want? Our other car is paid off. This car is 27 years old. Like we haven't had a car expense. Like we drive enough around town and with our kids that we should enjoy the experience. And so I'm so glad we didn't nickel and dime ourselves to get something, because we've done that with cars before and then we end up like trading them in. So yeah, this one, I don't know. Kia's just like, they do it well. My dad has one, and we're like, this is like a really nice drive and a lot of bang for your buck. So I guess shout out to Kia, and know that
I think they're selling well. I mean, obviously, because Kia, I think, makes good cars, but that one is one of the first, like, probably affordable third row EVs. You know, you've got Rivians, and then like a Tesla Model X has a smallish third row, but they're, you know, somewhere in the $80,000 to $100,000 price range. And I think the EV9 is more in line with, I don't know exactly what it runs, but I think it's more affordable and still has that large size and third row, which a lot of families kind of need, you know?
Yeah, I think the base model is like 50 something, and then it can go up to 80 something depending on the package. Because enough people I know have bought it. I was like, should I buy this car for my 2-adult household? I'm like, I think I need that third row. What if I get a bunch more dogs?
Well, it's great for the dogs. Although our dog like will not lie down in the back of the car ever. So it's kind of like, well, we may as well just keep the third row up, because it's not like he utilizes it.
So before I share my favorites, there's a funny trend between like everyone had like an electric vehicle of some sort in their faves, because you got Greg, you got one, the car, the new Chevy Bolt. Liz, you got an e-bike. Erica, you got a third row EV. And Andrew basically is an electric like source.
He's a renewable
he bought a new
energy
bike.
resource.
And yeah, his legs basically are like go as fast as, I mean, you definitely go faster than like our cars and stuff. So, I mean, your new bike qualifies as a new EV too. So, okay. My favorite ones, my small one was a satin or silk. I think it's a silk pillowcase. I keep saying satin, but a silk pillowcase. Life-changing. Greg and I talked about it recently on an episode, but they're not that expensive. I'll put a link in the show notes. Every morning and every night, I'm just really happy on my pillowcase. And then I think our big one is bed related too. We bought a new mattress this year after we got back from a spring break trip and realized that my back hurt a lot less when we weren't on a foam mattress, and went back to like an old school, like technically a hybrid, but I remember it was like, we bought it from Costco. Andrew, you have the same mattress actually.
I had the same one. Shout out to Kirkland Signature mattress.
It was like a Costco version of a Sealy mattress, and it was, or Cert, I don't know, one of those. It was lovely. I could put a link in the show notes, but I love it. It's like $1,000.
Stearns and Foster? Is that?
Yeah,
Stearns
there we
and
go.
Foster. Yep.
And yeah, love it. Okay. Worst products or purchases, or any like big financial regrets that people have. You may not have one, but if you have one, feel free to share it. Andrew, what you got?
My sinkhole, period.
And your pipes.
Sure. Throw the pipes in too.
Mine is just, I got a little too we've just been getting a little loosey-goosey with money. I don't know another term, like not as intentional as I would like to be, just a little too spendy. And
Too many purple sweatshirts.
I own
too many
I've purchased too many sneakers and athleisure this year. For sure. I don't want to, I'll figure out soon what I've spent on clothing this year, and we will see what it is in January. And I kind of blame the stock market. It's just like when things are just feeling really good, and like, you know, I somehow quit working and have more money, and like that's not such a great feeling for me because I read Die with Zero and I'm like, well, I should enjoy my life, and it just things have gotten a little too loose, like a little like just not intentional enough, and I want to rein that in next year.
Have you ever said the stock market is just a graph of rich people's emotions? And it goes both ways, right?
That's
like when
great.
people are feeling good, the
That's
market
great.
goes up. And also when it goes up, like
Yeah.
we all feel good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it is funny because if it was down, I'd probably be. It's just a mental thing, but I'd probably be spending less. Okay, what are you feeling not good about?
Ugh, I just realized yesterday that I missed 2 paychecks worth of 401k match. My employer only matches if you contribute on every paycheck. And I really thought I'd gone in and done the math to make sure I was contributing on every check, and I accidentally maxed out early. So it's like $800. And I was really kicking myself. But then when I was doing this exercise and I thought about the year I had, I was like, you know what? If that's the only thing you dropped the ball
Yeah,
on,
it's okay. I'm giving you permission to
we're
let that one
fine.
slide.
Yeah.
But that is a good reminder. I was talking to my neighbor about this because he was like, I maxed mine out in July. And I was like, dude, be careful. And he sent me his company thing. And he was like, his company does a true up
Yeah.
at the end of the year, which is very nice. IHG did not do that. So IHG was similar to yours, Liz. If you max it out, they're only matching when you put in yourself. And so if you max it out early, it's not always a good thing. You lose out. And so
Yeah.
I always remind people, like, if you think you're doing a good thing by maxing it out, it has to be like, it doesn't always have to be, but check your company's policy, because the safe way to do it is to spread it evenly throughout the year, which takes some calculation. And it's when you get like a pay increase or something or bonus or something, it's easy to miscalculate, right? And kind of.
Yeah. I think I literally just counted on my fingers the number of paychecks left, and I think I counted wrong. But anyways, it's something to be aware how your company does. Yeah, good reminder.
Okay, Erica, what you got?
I didn't realize my rollover 401k wasn't invested. Like I just like patted myself on the back and was like, I did it. I rolled it over and thought that was enough. And then was like, it's not doing anything. And it had been a little too late. It's invested now, but that was like a big, like,
Yeah. I mean, the good news, Erica, is it's not like you had been gone from that company for years, right? I think it was less than a year which, you know, it was not a good time for that. It was like a lot of increase, but still. It wasn't not rolled over for 10 years. I mean, it wasn't invested,
Right.
not invested.
yeah, but it wasn't invested during a time where it would have been
Yeah.
making gains. And that was like the big uh-oh moment. And then the other thing, Andrew, this is where I feel like you're going to retract your applauding me for getting the book at the libraries. I have been buying a lot of books and they're just building up. Like I can't read them fast enough, but I'll like, oh, if I don't buy this, I'll probably just forget about it. Well, I've forgotten about it regardless of whether I buy it or not. So I'm setting a new goal for myself. Like read what I have, try to sell them back to the bookstore where I buy them, and then start over.
I like it.
You do buy them from an independent bookstore, though, don't you?
Yes,
So there you go. Pat yourself on the back for that.
I do that.
Yeah, supporting
Yeah.
the local economy.
So my regret is a decision that Maggie and I both made last year. We sold our Bitcoin, and this wasn't a lot of money, but when we were still working, we had bought some Bitcoin as just a way to, I don't know, diversify a little. And, it had been going up, and, it went way down and was sitting there. And I kept saying like, oh, we shouldn't sell. Eventually it'll go back up. And many people said, oh, it'll never go back up. You get rid of it when you can. And we sold it last year, and just seeing how much it's gone up, and in the the wake of the election, it hitting over 100-something thousand, I just was like, oh my gosh, why did we sell that? I mean, again, not a lot of money, but just one of those little things you go, I just should have just kept writing it out, because it wasn't enough that we needed that money anyway. So
Did we sell it this year or last year?
we sold it last year because
Okay.
it was a
wanted the
capital loss
Yeah.
that helped a little on our taxes last year, but.
It's okay for you to say that.
Well, okay. I didn't want to point it
I
out.
wasn't gonna. Here's the deal, Andrew always says that. Andrew, you are not responsible. You shared an opinion, but what I will say about
did
that,
share
the
an
reason I kind of forgot about that. The reason I don't really even regret that is because I agree with the spirit. Like I was going to hold on to it just as an experiment, just to be like, I want to see what happens long term. But then like even Andrew, I do agree with like what you said that convinced me to sell it and probably convinced you too, was more of like, I don't want to think about this. You know, I want to have all my money in like low cost index funds and not be thinking about another decision of like, should I sell this? Should I hold it? I want to simplify my, you know, financial assets. And so from that angle, like I feel good about that.
Yeah. And again, it's not money that it would have been life-changing money or anything like that. So it's not a major, it's just when you said one financial regret that sort of popped in mind. It's like, oh, that would have been a nice little extra money that, you know, we could
I
have.
had a lot more Bitcoin than you did.
Yeah.
And so what I lost was actually a meaningful amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I say lost, but you know what I mean? Like had I kept it in there, I would have, you know, it could have more than bought a car for a 16-year-old, to put it that way. Okay. Let's talk about what we feel like are some of our biggest personal financial like wins, news of the year. Greg and I will go last, actually. Andrew, what you got?
I started doing some more cycling coaching, which I've really enjoyed. So I've got 5 paying clients now. So
That's amazing.
exciting.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
fun.
thank you.
And you like it, right?
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, it was definitely a little bit of an experiment, and I've really enjoyed working with people. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So that's been good. Good little side hustle. I got Andrew Knight Coaching LLC set up. I got all the bank accounts, the official paperwork all done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Nice.
I'm
Now all you
excited
got to
about
do is
that.
early retire. Congrats.
Yeah, right. And then the market had an unbelievable year, right? Up 27%. It was our single biggest increase in net worth. So definitely a big year, but almost 100% because of the market, right? And then I splurged on the really expensive hotel at Universal in order to get the fast passes. So I definitely would not have done that in the past. I definitely said my time is more valuable. I'm getting the fast passes, and I'm okay spending $650, $700 a night on a hotel room. So that was a big step for me. Proud of myself on that.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. We probably all had the biggest like net worth increase we've ever had. This I haven't done the math, but I would guess
Yeah.
we're all in that boat.
Yeah.
Okay. We spent most of the year as a one income household for 2024. The good news is that we got 2 good sized severances paid out. The bad news is that we had 2 severances paid out. But it also felt good to just be able to easily be able to manage on one income. It felt like a lot of the choices that we've made over the last couple of years sort of paid off in that respect. So that felt good. And although I'm hoping that changes next year, my partner's looking for a new job. Other financial news in my world sounds like bonuses might be delayed next year. So I'm trying to figure out when, where, how much that is coming towards us. But a really cool thing is as of this morning, so about 5 years ago, I set a goal of what I thought our net worth needed to be for us to early retire. And as of today, we are sitting at 97% of that amount. I know, it's cool. It's a little...
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's scary too, because it's like now you're here and you got to make some decisions.
Yeah. It's some caveats. Some of that is in home equity in this house. So it would involve moving. And I've increased the number since then. Obviously, prices and inflation have gone up quite a bit since then. But just seeing that number feels very, very good. So well, I'll take it.
Mine is a little less exciting than Liz's, but we quit Amazon Prime.
That's huge.
I tried to do that and I failed. We did it for 3 months, and in April it was
Okay.
back on because Crystal was about to. I decided to save my marriage.
Good for you.
Quitting
Good for
Amazon
you.
Prime. I definitely could have quit it myself, but Crystal was. Yeah,
I'm
she was
with
done it. She
Crystal.
was
I'm
getting
on
really
Team
annoyed.
Crystal on this one. I don't know if I could do it, but how's
Yeah.
it been, Erica?
So I should caveat it by saying we quit, and then we were looking at some holiday gifts, and we tried to avoid Amazon, but some of the things we wanted were there, and it was like, do you want to get it before Christmas or after? It's like these veiled threats based on like whether you have Prime or not. So the landlord was like, let's just get it for the month of December and like do the free trial and cancel. I was like, that's fine.
There
So
you go.
we have it now, but we've actually still been like mindful of like, I still don't want to, it's just unoriginal, at least for like what we're looking to give people to buy from Amazon, unless like that is the better option. Cause it is like your time, money value. So it's gone really well. Like things that I just like default got from Amazon, I was like, I'll just get it directly from the website. And then because it's that extra step, it makes me just think more of like, do I need this? do I need to keep it on like a subscribe and save? Now I have like a stockpile of shampoo, things like that. So that was like a pretty big move for us. And then I would just say like more substantially, the fact that the landlord and I have been on Monarch, we've been active in keeping it updated. Now I feel like I can truly contribute to a conversation one of these days when we talk about our spending.
In January, it's gonna be your first one. We're super excited to have you join us.
I'm gonna be sick that day, Andrew. No, it's been really good for us and for us to like see and have like a transparency around our spending habits and just in general that we weren't having, because he was tracking everything in a spreadsheet, which, as I've said, I hate spreadsheets. So this has been huge for us, and it's like going very well. And yeah, that's been probably like outside of quitting Amazon, like that's been the biggest win for us this year, for me and the landlord.
That's huge. I'm
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
Thank
Way
you.
to go.
That's so exciting. Are we? I was thinking too. This is my first full calendar year on Monarch because I started it last year. Is that the same, Andrew and Maggie?
Yeah, because I think we all started after Mint, and Mint retired at the
Yes.
end of 2023.
Okay.
And actually, last year's podcast of all of us together was y'all mourning Mint, and I was like, "What is
Mint,
this
the loss of
Monarch
Mint, right.
thing?"
I started moving things in December, right, and then like January was like I was full.
So I got on Monarch right after we did this podcast recording a year ago.
Okay.
Shout out to Monarch and for sending Maggie a sweatshirt with their
Yes.
now old logo, and Greg.
Greg loves his. He wears it more than I do.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's nice. So for Maggie and I, probably the most significant thing is that we sold one of our rental properties. It was further away from us, and just a number of reasons we wanted to kind of get rid of it. But when the process of selling it was pretty substantial. We had to fix up a number of things, and
We had some tough tenants move out. It was very expensive.
Yeah,
and
kind of
mentally
a-
taxing.
kind of a tough situation with them moving out. And it was a lot, and definitely kind of in the middle of it, just kind of stressful, but it felt really nice to get it sold and not have to worry about that.
It
and
seemed like
just-
it was never going to sell for a while.
Yeah.
So we, like finally, but it did, and I'm very happy. So it's a great property for someone else, and I'm just happy that it's not ours anymore.
Yeah, me too.
And we did a lot. We put a lot of money into it. We did the right thing. There were things where we could have taken shortcuts, but like we made it a good property for someone else, and we unloaded it, and it's just like one less thing to deal with for us. So, okay, so let's wrap up this episode with just a quick thought from everybody on. I like, the word, you can use the word goal if you want, like some of our financial related goals for 2025. But I also we had a listener ask us, like, what are our 2025 intentions? And I like the word intentions a little bit better. Greg, you noted that that's a better word than goals. So let's talk about some of our 2025 intentions with a spin on finance, since that's what we're here to talk about. Andrew, what you got?
I need to try and loosen up a little bit. So trying to live a little bit more, not try and increase some of the budgets a little bit, and not buy that expensive hotel room.
I like it. I'm going to go next because I'm on the other end of I need to spend a little more intentionally. I've been a little too loose. And it's not, it's okay in some regards. You're way too, you need to loosen up. I agree. We're all pro Andrew spending more money. We're pro Crystal having Amazon Prime. We are pro Crystal going to Dunkin' Donuts when she wants to, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she can up that $20 a year coffee budget to
$25.
Yeah. But I'm all for spending money. It's when it gets a little bit unintentional and I lose thought of what really matters to me and the amount of stuff I want around me and all that. So I'm on the opposite end of Andrew this year, but we'll see it where the year netted out on me feeling that versus having no idea exactly what I've spent. So, okay, Liz, how about you?
So similar to Andrew, I don't think I need to loosen up with my spending, but I this year wanted to loosen up with my tracking and having a bunch of different goals. And I did that. I said, I'm going to max out my Text Advantage accounts, and then whatever happens. So I want to do that again next year. And then don't tell anyone, but I am seriously thinking about selling our house and downsizing to an apartment or a condo, because this house, she is pretty inexpensive and kind of a headache. And if I am serious about wanting to early retire one day, that is a big step. So
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, by don't tell anyone.
Yeah, fully support that.
that was a joke.
Okay, I was just
Yeah.
checking. You want me to edit that out? Okay.
No.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big goal,
Yeah.
but that sounds like a great move in the direction that you're wanting for yourself.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see next year. You can look back and be like, you did it, or LOL.
It's a choice. It's a lever you can pull.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that, and you can make a decision on if you want to or not. So,
Yeah.
okay, Erica, how about you?
My goal is pretty similar to yours, Maggie. Just be a little more mindful and intentional in how I spend, and also
Or like demure, like mindful, demure.
Very
I know
demure.
that's like a thing of the internet these days that I'm not privy to. Yeah, no, I mean it's just less about the like spending of the things, like even the random books I buy, and like this. There are more like courses along the lines of nervous system mastery and things that are like bettering myself that I feel like I get more value out of, and really just investing. I don't want to say in myself, but the things that help me grow as a person, and just looking at those things, and also just being mindful. Like, I don't know what the future of my job or the landlord's job will look like, and trying to not have bag lady syndrome around it, but just be conscientious around, is this a purchase that needs to happen now? What happens if something shifts in our job landscape, and just be mindful of that as well.
Okay, Greg, you can have your own intention. You don't have to share mine.
Okay.
What's yours?
I want to figure out how to make a little money on the side doing something I enjoy a little more. I mean, I do some Uber driving and it's fun. I enjoy it, but I have applied to do substitute teaching, and I think that's something that I would enjoy, but it's surprisingly hard to get hired as a substitute. So that's kind of an interesting thing.
It's
but
more hard to get through the application process
perhaps
than it
that's
is
it.
like the actual.
Yeah. And I haven't been in a hurry because I've been rehabbing my shoulder, but in the new year, that's something I want to do. But I want to do it in something where I actually feel like I'm enjoying the time spent too, and not just making some money.
Yeah.
It's great.
Cool. I feel like we all have some nice intentions, and I really enjoy this time with you guys. So I appreciate all the co-hosts coming on and spending, a couple hours on their Saturday talking about this. And I appreciate you guys all listening to us, and hopefully, like Liz said at the beginning, we all enjoy this, but hopefully you all got something out of this too. And we have like detailed links in the show notes to some of the products and things that we've mentioned, and books and stuff like that. So if you want to follow up on that, just check that out on the InsideOutMoney.org website. And yeah, thank you guys.
Should we all read the closing together in unison?
Did we do that last year? Did we attempt to do
Thank you for listening.
No.
for listening? Erica's just
I know.
Erica and Andrew are out.
I'm opting out of this one too.
Yeah.
Outvoted Liz.
Out. All right, Liz and Maggie
We gotta
will
read a
delegate. You guys
few
can take
of
that.
Oh, Liz, sing us out.
Oh,
Thank you for listening.
yeah.
We know your time is limited and valuable. Go
To be
Liz.
clear, that was Maggie.
Yeah, don't take credit for that voice.
This guy. We love you so much, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, if you want to leave us a review, we already talked about that. Hey, if you have any thoughts or questions, you can always leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370, or you can hit us up on Instagram. Yeah, thanks, guys. Happy end of the year. You say goodbye to 2025. When I say bye, you say hello. I'm just trying to sing.
Bye to 2024 though.
Bye to 20.
And hi to 2025.
Hi to
right?
20. Yeah.
All right, we got to say bye to Andrew. He's got to get to the bike
Andrew needs
shop.
to
Yeah.
go pick
Bye,
up a
Andrew.
bike.
Yep.
Bye,
Bye,
Andrew,
Andrew.
and
Bye, everyone.
Adi
Thank you.
fucking os 2024.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that was a rough
Yes.
year. Bye.
yeah.
Hopefully, my intention for next year is that Liz has a better year.
I hope I have the most boring
Yes.
year that anybody has ever had in the history of years. That's my goal.
I hope you sell your house, move into your condo, early retire, and then we can take this show on the road.
Oh my God. 2025 Inside Out Money Meetup. That's our goal.
Yeah, you're right. That should have been everyone's intention.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.